Okay, I've got the recording started and hopefully we'll get the everything working correctly and I'll edit out anything that's unnecessary here at the beginning, but welcome everybody to our August meeting. We've got Mike Ramy and Jenny Burdette here tonight talking about the Wilderness Photography Foundation. We're going to have our monthly challenge. This month's challenge was food. And we got a little bit of club business, a lot of trips to talk about. But first, let's see if I can get the slideshow to work. Let me see if I can share my screen. Oh, I think that was the problem. I wasn't sharing the screen. Okay. All right, folks at home, now are you seeing the PowerPoint?
Yes, indeed.
All right, you hit the right button and things work. All right. All right. Are you still seeing the logo?
Yes.
All right, cool. Are you seeing tonight's itinerary?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, we got it right. That took less time than normal. All right, everybody. So like I said, tonight we're going to be talking about we got some club business, events, and then Jenny and Mike are going to talk, and then we'll do our photo challenge. So as usual, we have a lot of new members. If you are not a paid member, you can become a paid member by going to our Facebook page or go to the link here, northgeorgiaphotographyclub.com. Paid members get extra benefits like being able to participate in our monthly challenge, our members only Facebook page, free workshops, our annual picnic, our Christmas dinner. But non-paid members are still able to come to meetings that can come to our trips. But if you are a paid member, which is only $20 per year for an individual, $30 for a family, you get more benefits. So we do have a lot of trips coming up. I'm going to go out of order just because it's one that I talk about, and then Dick's going to talk about the rest of them. But the Dragon Con Parade is on September 3rd. From what I have seen, it is on and it is open to the public this year. So what we've done in the past is we've met on the bridge on Peachtree Street that crosses over 85. That's usually where we shoot. We meet at 8 o'clock. The parade starts at 10. When the parade's over, we usually go to a diner, have some lunch, and then we do some street photography afterwards. So you don't have to do the street photography if you don't want to. You don't have to go to the diner, but it's a fun time. Lots of interesting things to photograph. If you've never been there, you need to experience it. And I will let Dick talk about the rest.
Alrighty, so next weekend, I mean, not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow is our, hopefully, Milky Way shoot at Dodd Creek Vista up past Dukes Creek Falls and up that road, Highway 348, I believe it is. Anyway, forecast is not looking particularly promising, but everybody needs to do whatever incantations and ceremonies and dances and burnt offerings and other sorts of stuff they can do to get us a clear sky. If we don't do it in August, then the backup plan is to do it the next month. But that also assumes the weather will be nice. So that's that. Next one up is the Dragon Boat races on September 10th. And that's at the Lanier Olympic venue on Lake Lanier. We have the opportunity, each of you has the opportunity to have a press pass if you wish. To get the press pass, you will need to sign the agreement that I've uploaded to the file section of the Facebook page. You need to read that agreement very carefully because it is a contract. I have not yet decided what I'm going to do. Read it carefully. If you don't get a press pass, you're still plenty welcome to come and take pictures. You just won't have access to some areas of the venue. We may, not sure yet, also have a pontoon boat that we can take out to the other side of the race course from the shore side. But I haven't seen a great deal of interest in that. Comment on the Facebook page, please, if you're interested in that, so I can gauge how useful it will be. Then in October, I will be going out to Utah for the second half of the month to take pictures out there. So if people want to do a fall color hunt or something, somebody else is going to have to step up and decide where and when. I will be back the first week in November, and I might do one then, but so far I haven't got any plan for that. And then we come to the picnic or barbecue or whatever. And so far, we need somebody to lead the effort to organize that, determine a time and a place, and help with buying supplies and that sort of stuff. The club will pay for things. We just need some manpower help on that one.
Yeah, we're thinking possibly doing maybe a dinner or combine it with a sunset shoot on Lake Lanier, but it's all up in the air. We're open to suggestions. We had one or two people give us some suggestions, but we need volunteers. We can't do it ourselves. So if you want, we haven't had the picnic in 2 years of the pandemic. We'd like to resume it this year. So if you're interested, please contact me or contact Dick, contact Lisa. Or you can contact Donna, who's busy looking around. Donna has been helping a little bit. Contact somebody and let us know if you're interested in helping with cooking or, again, reserving a spot or something, but the club pays for everything. The last thing we have on here before we start our presentation is our critique workshop. That is going to be on September 20th. It's going to be on Zoom. We did this last year and it was very successful. Basically what we'll do is about a week or 10 days before the critique, we'll post a link to Dropbox. You'll be able to submit 2 images per person. We'll probably do a maximum of 15 or 16 images. We've got 2 club members who are going to do the critiques. They'll be blind critiques, unless you want to admit a picture is yours. And they're trained on this. They're going to tell you what's good about your picture, what can improve, and give you ideas. And last year we couldn't get through all the pictures. There were so many comments and suggestions. It really went well. So we're looking forward to doing that. So watch for details on that. So now we'll go ahead and start our presentation with Jenny Burdette and Mike Ramy. And hopefully I can get it to work. Hang on. It won't let me unshare. Okay. You share, maybe that'll work. Are you ready to, you wanted to talk first, right? Before starting your, okay. Let's go ahead and let you talk first, and then we'll see if we can get, Mike has a recording, about a 30-minute presentation and video. So we'll try to get that started in a couple minutes.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Ramy. Hello to everybody at home, all you lazy people who couldn't make it out here tonight. I'm betting Bob Casper is in his underwear and no pants on, so that's the way to do it. Tonight, we will be introducing you to the newly established Wilderness Photography Foundation. As a nature photographer, it is easy to get hung up on technical details such as light, composition, exposure, shutter speed, and so on, and completely forget to ask the really meaningful questions about your subject and the environment you are photographing within. We have become a checklist culture, and that has created a tendency to click it, forget it, and move on to the next one. It is often said that the key to creating great photographs is doing your research. That's very important. But of course, all those aspects of doing your research and creating great images, I want to make the case of a different kind of research in photography. By being curious and doing the kind of research that deepens the understanding of your subjects and places your photograph has the potential to totally transform your photography. This type of understanding affords you the potential of using your photographs and love of the outdoors to help enlighten and a complacent society towards the importance of how and why nature is essential to life on this planet. My connection with nature and wildlife has been evolving since childhood. When I learned and enjoyed as a kid on hunting, fishing, and outdoor outings with the elder generations of my family starting in the late 1950s. This instilled in me the importance of appreciating and protecting Mother Nature. Once it's gone for good. The purpose of my photography is to create, capture, and express the beauty of nature that has been a major influence in my life from childhood till today. Through the years, I have improved my photographic skills while developing a particular sensitivity for capturing the essential aesthetics and the importance of wildlife. This is the idea behind the Wilderness Photography Foundation. Understanding the importance of nature is key towards reversing the human degradation of ecosystems and slow down humanity as an active contributor to worldwide extinction of plants and animals. Extinction is a part of life, an inevitable natural phenomenon that has occurred in cycles throughout the planet's history. Under normal conditions, the birth of new species is higher than the rate of extinction. This can be termed as letting nature take its course. In the past 100 years, however, the current rate of extinction is estimated to be around 1,000 species per year. Think about that. That's not nature taking its course, but human activities that are the triggering factor behind this phenomenon. In a very short amount of time, we have devastated entire ecosystems, hunted many animals to extinction, introduced invasive species, altered the chemical composition of the atmosphere, devastated landscapes by deforestation, and degraded the chemical balance of the oceans. By documenting and expressing nature's generosity through images and commentary, it is the Foundation's mission to awaken a new generation of environmental concern, to bring the beauty and importance of nature, wildlife, and our ecosystems to the forefront of the decision-making process by increased exposure through photography and involvement within affected communities. The Wilderness Photography Foundation has been formed to use the visual power of photography to increase awareness of the essential value of wilderness and wildlife. We plan to create events with results towards encouraging action to preserve and protect wild spaces for the benefit of future generations. It is not our intention to give opinion or have political involvement, but merely to use the growing popularity of nature photography as the art form it has become towards increasing awareness. Our goal is to create beneficial results and enjoyment for the artists, the galleries, and the visiting patrons that are a part of this effort. Our first project will be to raise awareness towards the Okefenokee Swamp in Southwest Georgia with the Okefenokee Photo Safari exhibition. The Okefenokee Swamp is the largest blackwater swamp in North America and a wetland of international importance. Sit back now and enjoy the following presentation we have produced so you may have a better understanding towards the importance of this natural resource. And then we will tell you all about the upcoming call for entries and the competition that we're going to put together to promote the swamp.
And if we're lucky, I'll be able to start it.
The river is
Share screen. Oh, hang on. We'll edit this portion out. Video.
the river is a healer.
Can you
The
see that at
river
home?
is a sage.
It
Yes.
works.
The river knows no end, and the river feels no age. The river is a leader every single day. It's living in the moment, and it always finds a way. Water heal my body, water heal my soul. When I go down to the water, by the water I feel whole. The river calls me over, it's calling out my name. In the day and in the night, I hear that river all the same.
It's a different world out here completely. You go 20 minutes down the road, you know, any direction from the swamp, it's a city. You know, you come out here, you can forget all of that stuff. You can see the stars at night. I mean, it's just one of the last great wild places in America.
Heal my body, water heal my soul. When I go down to the water, by the water I feel whole. The river is a traveler, always on the go. Oh, a river never worries if it's fast or if it's slow. River, take me.
If we are going to keep life on Earth, including human life, we have to protect and hold sacred large tracts of wildness for our own sake, because they provide natural processes that we cannot live without.
The water, I feel whole. Water,
You know, it's our responsibility you know, to stand up and to speak up about it and to let them know, find somewhere else to go. Not here, not in our swamp, not in the area that we want to preserve. We want it preserved. We want the animals that God created, that's placed there, to continue to live and enjoy this land.
When I go down, down to the water, by the water, I feel whole.
Some call it the land of the trembling earth. Some call it fearsome. Some call it sacred. It is the stuff of legend and song, ancient and ever-renewing, mythical, eternal, and fragile. It is the Okefenokee Swamp. The Okefenokee lies deep in the heart of South Georgia. At 438,000 acres, it's the largest blackwater swamp in North America, a designated wetland of international importance, a national natural landmark, and a gold-tier international dark sky park. It is also the mother of two extraordinary rivers, the St. Mary's and the Suwannee. Those rivers have shaped the human history and the ecology of the region. As goes the swamp, so goes its rivers. In short, the Okefenokee Swamp is without comparison. It is singularly rare and profoundly important. Every year, the Okefenokee Swamp records as many as 700,000 visits. They are the wilderness seekers and the dream weavers. They yearn for a place untouched by time, for stars undimmed by mankind's light. For the bellow of gators and the songs of night, they come and they leave forever changed.
And I've been down here quite a few times now in the swamp, and it's amazing how every time I come down here it's different. The sky's different, the water's different, see different wildlife, and it's just a really magical place. And you know, I also think about other places like Yosemite and Yellowstone. You know, it seems like every state has something really special. And when I think about Georgia, I think about the Okefenokee.
Well, one of my memorable experiences I had actually was a young adult. I went out there one summer for a canoeing trip and spent a lot of time on the water, taking a lot of photographs. And I always loved how reflective the surface of the swamp is and how you can see the sky in the water.
So one of the things I think that's interesting about the Okefenokee is that, like, if you're there and you get on sort of one of the observation towers in the park and you look over it, it actually seems more like Africa. It looks like you're looking over the savannah, which is completely wrong, you know, because the savannah is generally pretty dry, low rainfall. But you see this huge expanse of this low shrubby vegetation with some hummocks with trees and with some open water, and you're sitting there thinking, I should see giraffes and elephants running through here. It really is sort of visually a phenomenal place, but you have this wildlife that and this ecosystem that is really quite unique.
At any one given time, I mean, you can walk 30 yards out there, 30 feet out there if you'd like. You're going to see 4 or 5 different species of frogs. You'll see a ton of different fish, you know. Speaking of fish, the Okefenokee sunfish, you know, it's an endemic species. It's a little tiny fella, you know. Some of the plant life, the Sarracenia minor, the Okefenokee variant, right? It's an endemic species as well. It's a type of carnivorous plant, you know. 36 inches tall. It's a hooded pitcher plant. You know, they're found out here, only found out here wild. So it's one of those, there's something for everybody, you know, from if you're a plant guy to the other side of it, you're a herpetologist, things like that. I mean, there's so much out here to actually be able to see.
In my opinion, wilderness, in order to be true wilderness, needs wildlife. You know, I think people tend to think of swamps and wetlands as these buggy, damp, dank places, but in fact, they're very vibrant and alive. And the Okefenokee supports thousands of species. It's not a barren wasteland, and it provides this incomparable human experience because it's still filled with wildlife. I mean, there are places within this swamp where there are more black bears and alligators and animals than there are people. There are places where people perhaps have never even ventured in the Okefenokee, and there are undoubtedly places in the swamp that still remember the presence of the red wolf, the Florida panther, and those places could still support those animals again.
Beneath those tea-colored waters of the Okefenokee are these layers and layers of peat, which is decaying vegetation. And something that's really cool about the peat is that it offers this window into our past. It has this uninterrupted record of our environmental conditions over 5 millennia, which is hard to even wrap your head around. And so I think another thing that's really interesting about Okefenokee is just getting to go there and be a part of something that's so old, so vast, and so big, and kind of take us out of our day-to-day grind.
The swamp has always been something that I enjoyed since a kid. One of the things that I always looked forward to was going on field trips to the swamp. And in particular, they had a gator there by the name of Oscar. And this gator was it was so huge and so big, and all the kids, we just looked forward to going on those trips, getting on the boats and riding through the swamp and getting a chance to, really see natural history. And it's a blessing to have that in your backyard, so to speak, that we had that in this area. And as a child, you don't know how rich that is. But I understand a lot more now being an adult about how rich that heritage is and what a blessing it has been for us to have the Okefenokee swamp here. So I've always enjoyed that, and I even live close to the swamp now, so it's always been great having that in our backyard.
I think that the farther you can remove yourself from human construction and the deeper you can allow yourself to ground, then I think that you hear things in the middle of Okefenokee swamp that you don't hear anywhere else. So all that vast botanical wonder supports lots of fauna as well. There's so few words in the English language that can really describe a place so vast and so beautiful.
Mankind, too, have contributed to the tapestry of the swamp. Its oldest inhabitants were the Native Americans who occupied the area during the late Archaic, Woodland, and Mississippian periods of prehistory. As late as the 1700s, the swamp was a significant winter hunting ground for Georgia's indigenous Muskogee people. Native Americans weren't the only ones to seek out the mysterious great beyond of the Okefenokee. Escaped slaves sought safety there, and during the Civil War, deserters banded together on the swamp's islands. The swamp's tales are captivating. Its music reflects the twists and turns of the past, and its legacy is worthy of tribute. It is a land that one celebrates and protects and never risks or cheapens with the bulldozers of destructive greed. It is sacred. The Okefenokee shelters a vast mosaic of pine islands, cypress forests, and blackwater channels, and hosts an incredible array of wildlife. But like the species that call the refuge home, the Okefenokee itself is now endangered, as plans for heavy mineral sand mining come perilously close to its borders. The potential destruction looms over every living thing within and beyond the swamp.
think what as human beings we have lost our sense of purpose for what this world was created for. I think we think it was really created for us, and we can do with it as we please, but at the expense of everything else. So if we don't preserve it, then who's gonna do it? It's like we're waiting for God to do it, but he said, but I have given you that to do. That's why I put Adam in the garden. He had a job to do. So it's not for us to just enjoy it, but we're supposed to preserve it and take care of it. So when I think about the river itself and the Okefenokee Swamp and all the things, if you just think about all the animals and all the shrubs and everything out there, that body of water is feeding. It's immense, the purpose that God put in that, and for us to go out to destroy it. Like we have to do better about taking care of, this world. It's like we want to make laws for it, but we don't want to govern ourselves as people. So we think a piece of paper is going to help us protect the world and stop all this global warming and all these things. Like, no, when we start to think about things in the sense that we need to think about them, then we can control these things and take care of these things ourselves. But we have to slow down, appreciate what's here, and realize that we can only destroy it. We can't create it. We can't rebuild it. We can't recreate it, none of these things. So I think it's all about us coming back to our senses as far as for what we are here and what we can do. And then just utilize it for what it's for, which is to go out there, appreciate what God created, and live amongst it.
Unfortunately, even though this is such a special place, it is also at risk. And what we're seeing right now is an Alabama company, an Alabama mining company, trying to get permits so they can construct, phase 1 of an 8,000 acre mine. And it's right next to the swamp. And it's on what's called the Trail Ridge, which is essentially the sand berm that holds the Okefenokee back.
Experts that have reviewed the plans for this proposed mine have said that there's a real concern that mining on Trail Ridge, right adjacent to the Okefenokee Swamp, could have irreparable consequences for the hydrology of Okefenokee, which has cascading effects. If you affect the hydrology, then you're affecting species habitat, you're affecting the fire regime, and you're also affecting places that people just love to visit and appreciate. And so really, if someone wants to go and do something that may affect this public resource that we all enjoy, they need to prove that they are not going to harm it. And right now, we don't have that proof. And so that's why folks are so concerned about Okefenokee right now.
So Trail Ridge is an old barrier island complex from a time when sea level was higher. And it's a very long barrier island that's bisected in several places by rivers running through it, one of which is the St. Mary's. But the formation of Trail Ridge essentially blocked the drainage of several small rivers that flow into the Okefenokee Swamp. And by blocking that drainage, backwatered that area and created the Okefenokee Swamp itself. So Trail Ridge is, geologically not that old, but in terms of soil development, it's old. And, the USGS has done studies of Trail Ridge that look at it, essentially the layering of materials in it. And that layering of materials and how it's set basically create the conditions by which that dam works. And so let's say you just dug out a whole bunch of that from one side to the other and replaced it with sort of loose sand that allowed water to pass through faster. Essentially, you could create a subsurface breach in the dam and allow water to move from west to east much faster. So if you change the hydraulic properties of Trail Ridge, at the worst case, you could essentially lower the water level of the swamp by allowing more groundwater to leave through Trail Ridge.
So the fear is that long-term operations will essentially compromise the Okefenokee's ability to sustain itself. And if that were to occur, it would be catastrophic for the wildlife, such as the alligators and the wading birds that depend on predictable seasonal fluctuations in water levels.
For me, there are just a lot of unknowns. I mean, there's been a lot of research done on the environmental impacts of mining. We know that anytime we alter a natural system, there is a disruption, and it will change the character of the soil and the character of the water in that area. We just don't know to what degree, and there are just a lot of things that we don't know about the subsurface because, frankly, we can't see into the subsurface. And so for me, I tend to sort of err on the side of caution, in particular at places like the Okefenokee Swamp, which is a national wildlife refuge. It's a very unique landscape that is home to thousands of species of flora and fauna and enjoyed by people from all over the world.
Twin Pines Minerals is, to be frank, a shrewd operator. They have a pretty large tract of land adjacent to the Okefenokee National Wildlife Refuge, and they've deliberately positioned their first mine, what they're calling a demonstration area, about as far away from the Okefenokee as possible while still being on their land. And this was intentional, this was deliberate, because they know that once they receive the first permits for this project, it'll be much easier for them to move increasingly closer to the refuge, at which point their long-term operations are expected to come within 400 feet of the swamp itself. So this is what we call, in the world of conservation, a Trojan horse. Twin Pines right now is trying to mine around 700 acres or so during the first 4 years, but in the long term, they want to mine roughly 8,000 acres, which for perspective is the size of about 6,000 football fields worth of land.
The importance of some of these areas, like as far as the refuge is concerned, this is a refuge, regardless of how many visitors we get a year. This is for the animals that's in the area, I'm going to be here. I work here. I'm going to come in and out of the swamp. I have the potential to go anywhere I want to in the world. I can make a house, buy a house, borrow, do whatever. The guys that live here, the animals that are actually inside of the swamp, they don't have that option, right? So in 1937, when this was proclaimed a national natural landmark, that's what Mr. Roosevelt meant, right? And again in 1974, with the designated as a wilderness area. This area is meant to be protected at all costs, right? According to the legislature and the executive order that Mr. Roosevelt signed.
But now it is all being threatened again. Former Secretary of the Interior Bruce Babbitt fought for the Okefenokee when DuPont threatened to mine in 1997. He stated, "Titanium is a common mineral, while the Okefenokee is a very uncommon swamp. It is a battle everyone had hoped would not arise again." The leadership of Twin Pines Minerals is already associated with discharging mineral tailings into wetlands and air quality violations. Now they have the Okefenokee in their sights, and the stakes could not be higher.
In probably about the 1990s, the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, had a campaign about wetlands are wonderlands instead of wastelands. They had a poster about all of, and a big public education campaign about what all the good roles are that wetlands play. Some of those might include flood protection, right? So we've had a lot of rain this year, it so happens, in the southeastern United States, and so that these wetlands along the landscape are holding water in ways that if they weren't there, it would have all shown up in our human developed areas, and we would have experienced deeper flooding than we even did. From a hurricane's perspective, they baffle the energy of storm waves coming in, and they can minimize the impact of hurricanes. they're often referred to as the kidneys of the ecosystem. There's microbes, there's tiny critters that live in the soil, and they make a living in a different way than the organisms do here in a terrestrial upland forest. So they are able to take pollutants that might have made it into the waterways and transform them into other elements that maybe aren't so dangerous. And then of course there's the whole wildlife perspective, which is the obvious answer when you go to the swamp, and because you can see these things with your own eyes, both plants and animals. There's unique and rare plants often in these wetlands, and so many animals rely on wetlands for some part of their life cycle. You know, riparian areas, the area along rivers particularly, are used by neotropical migrants more than any other type of habitat on the planet. And the whole reason we have wetlands protection in this country is related to birds.
The Okefenokee isn't just a local, state, or national gem. It's an international treasure of great importance. What is needed is not the defilement of the land and the violation of resources, but the united will to enhance this tremendous asset with a sustainable vision that will benefit not only the swamp itself, but generations to come. Today, the Okefenokee Swamp supports over 750 local jobs and funnels $64 million into local communities per year. It continues to shape the lives of those within its formidable reach, both economically and culturally. It is a gift of immeasurable value.
I think that's very enriching to have that human experience for people to enjoy and immerse themselves in. And frankly, entrusting that experience to the mining industry would be madness. You know, we wouldn't put an industrial mining complex on the edge of one of these world-renowned habitats. We wouldn't put it on the edge of, say, you know, a museum of fine art. So why would we do it on the edge of the largest blackwater wetland remaining in America? We shouldn't. This place is too special. It offers too much for people and wildlife, and we can do so much better.
But right now they're able to mine their starting proposal without any federal oversight, no federal wetland permitting, and there's no requirement for replacing or mitigating the wetlands they're going to destroy. And it's about a third of the property area that's actually covered in depressional wetlands.
The Okefenokee's influence extends far beyond its borders, directly impacting 2 states and many counties. The St. Mary's River is born deep within the swamp and travels over 125 miles to empty its waters into the sea. The Suwannee River makes the 246-mile journey to the Gulf of Mexico. These rare blackwater rivers have shaped the history, culture, and economy of the entire region. If harm befalls the swamp, the rivers too will pay the price.
When we think about the science of wetlands and flood protection and water quality improvement and habitat, is that there's the human element, and lots of people like to visit wetlands. And so there's also an economic benefit to protecting certain areas of wetlands. Folks come just to enjoy nature. You know, some wetlands allow hunting and fishing, and those are income sources for many states. In fact, my colleagues in the wildlife and fishery side get a lot of their research dollars from support from hunters and fishers who are able, you know, whose some of the taxes on ammunition and other such things are earmarked and then have to go back into improving that. So there's definitely an economic benefit to having these wetlands. And if you're not a hunter or a fisher, you know, they're beautiful places to visit. The Okefenokee is a beautiful place to canoe or kayak. Folks, the bird watching industry, you know, brings an enormous economic benefit from wetlands all over the globe. And in some parts of the world, when you talk about wetland conservation, all they're talking about is birds, right? So birds bring a lot, and wetlands attract birds.
Because of its uniqueness and beauty, the Okefenokee is being reviewed as a potential World Heritage Site.
To get onto the World Heritage List, you have to have outstanding universal value. I mean, that is just kind of a breathtaking statement to say about something, and I think it really fits for Okefenokee. Joining the World Heritage List is an honor and an opportunity. It imposes no management restrictions on the property, but rather enhances the drive to protect Okefenokee like the treasure that it is. Joining the World Heritage List can also have a lot of benefits for the surrounding communities as it draws in visitors and scientists who wish to enjoy and study the amazing ecosystems that Okefenokee has to offer.
Throughout the ages, many have tried to capture the Okefenokee's magic in word, art, and song. In the centuries to come, many more will take up that challenge, but only if we stand guard, only if we protect this particular paradise.
It's almost mythic. It's iconic in the American imagination. But when you think about Okefenokee Swamp, you don't think about icons. But you get out there in the middle of it, and you're in the middle of a mythic, iconic American landscape.
We try to preserve it because I have grandchildren, I have great-grandchildren, and I want them to appreciate, what we have been blessed to have.
I think it's really crucial that we protect these environments now, because when they're gone, it's too late. And I don't want to have that hurt going back to them. I want to go back and be excited and see beauty and wonder in nature and show potentially my kids that beauty and wonder in nature.
The Okefenokee Swamp, a place of mystery and magic, of astonishing diversity, legend, and beauty. And now, once again, it hangs in the balance. It is a beating heart that calls to us all. This time, the threat is Twin Pines. Last time, it was DuPont. Who's next? And why must the battle be fought over and over again? It's time to ensure that this astonishing gift of wilderness will be forever free from harm. To learn more about the Okefenokee, the proposed mining venture, and the Okefenokee Protection Alliance, visit www.protectokefenokee.org. And please submit your comments about the proposed titanium mine to the Georgia Environmental Protection Division at twinpines.comment@dnr.ga.gov. Tell them no and tell them why.
The river is a healer, the river is a sage. The river knows no end and the river feels no age. The river is a leader every single day. It's living in the moment and it always finds a way. Water heal my body, water heal my soul. When I go down to the water, by the water I feel whole. The river calls me over, it's calling out my name. In the day and in the night I hear that river all the same. It's calling me over, calling out my pain. Oh, a river gathers tears just like a river gathers rain. Water heal my body, water heal my soul. When I go down to the water, by the water I feel whole. The river is a traveler, always on the go. Oh, a river never worries if it's fast or if it's slow. River, take me to where I need to go. Oh, and I will just relax and let the river flow. Water heal my body, heal my body. Water heal my soul. When I go down to the water, by the water I feel whole. Water heal my body, water heal my soul. When I go down to the water, by the water I feel whole. Water heal my body, When I go down, down to the water, by the water, I feel whole.
All right, guys. Next part. Yeah.
Okay, hi, I'm Jenny Burdette, and y'all may be thinking, okay, you know, that's great, the Okefenokee, but we're photographers. What does that have to do with us? And Mike is going to talk a little bit about it's an exhibition, a contest, but the idea is raising awareness of what is in the Okefenokee now, and that it is beautiful. I grew up in South Georgia, never went to the Okefenokee. The word swamp just sounded like a place with more bugs and more heat than I already was. So I didn't want to go. And it is a place full of bugs and heat. You are correct about that. The first time I think I went, first time was in March. I actually ended up going one year in August and thought I must have lost my mind, but it was actually probably one of the best visits I ever had there. And I was probably 50 before the first time I went to the swamp, and I fell in love with it. I had gotten my first DSLR, and about 6 months later, I was in the swamp trying to take some very bad pictures. I've been back looking at them recently, and I'm going back to the swamp very soon because I can at least use my camera a little bit better now while I'm there. But I did fall in love with it. It is absolutely primeval. It's just amazing, and it's a wonderful place to roam with the camera. So what we're actually talking about in a way is conservation photography. And I've realized over the past several years that, one, I don't think I really knew what conservation photography is, and I don't think a lot of people do. We think of, my first thought is always, it's got pictures of animals and garbage. You know, you've got some beautiful animal and then it's in some place that has been messed up by people. Or it's like National Geographic and they're out in some place very exotic and living this totally cool lifestyle. But Tom Wilson, I don't know if y'all know Tom Wilson, I'm sure some of you do, said, and I was in a meeting and he said this, and I've quoted him many times since. He said, photography can be more than just a hobby. Photography can be a tool for change. And I was like, oh, let me write that down. You know, nobody say anything until I get this down, because I thought that is true and it is profound. And I love photography and I love taking pictures. And the idea that the pictures that I'm taking and having a good time with can actually go out and do some good in the world is phenomenal to me. It's amazing for me that I can do that. And I've done some work for Georgia Department of Natural Resources, and I was out one day, early one morning in one of the parks photographing the sunrise. And I thought, this is so great. And this is so much fun. And then I was like, and somebody's paying me money to stand out here and do this. Wow. But I feel the same way with conservation photography, that it's more than just a hobby. There's something that my photography can do that will help the world, that will make it a better place, that will at least make a few people maybe aware of what is in the swamp and that it is beautiful. And the premise kind of behind what Mike and I are doing is that if people recognize the beauty and realize the beauty, then they will be more interested in it, and then they will value it. And we do tend to protect what we value. We have an interest in it, and then that leads to helping to protect it. So if you are interested in conservation photography, we have a great opportunity for you. If you're not interested at all in conservation photography, it doesn't matter. We still have a great opportunity for you, because it can be an opportunity simply for photography, a way to get your photography into galleries, a way to get your name and your work out there, and to get recognition for it. So do you want to talk about the contest?
All right. Hope everyone enjoyed the video. It's pretty educational and kind of makes you mad, don't it? I was approached a little over a year ago by a senior attorney at the Southern Environmental Law Firm, and he wanted to know if I'd be interested in helping them start some sort of a photography thing to help bring awareness and help tourism down in the area. And I got to thinking about it and talked with some other people like Jenny, and we got a few other people on board with this operation. And the idea was, we don't want to limit ourselves to the Okefenokee. We want to start a foundation that can help causes all over the country as this thing grows. So that's when we started the foundation, the Wilderness Photography Foundation, and the Okefenokee is our first project. And I also got to thinking, you know, how can we make this different? How can we create a situation where, you know, it's just different, it's better for everybody involved? So first off, I decided that we needed to have different categories for people to enter this. You got a lot of shows that you go into and you know, it'll be one photographer that kind of stinks up the show and wins all the prizes. So our competition is going to have basically 3 competitions in one. You will enter in 3 categories: advanced, novice, and we're going to have a youth division, which will be 21 years or younger, because we wanted to keep the college crowds part of the youth division. Obviously, if you're a very qualified young person, which there are a lot of them out there, they would be in the advanced division also. But this actually makes it have 3 contests in one. And so people that think, well, I don't want to enter this because, you know, I don't have a chance because so-and-so is going to enter. Well, this is not the case. You'll be competing against people of your own skill level. And then we're going to have 5 categories. The categories will be wildlife, landscape, macro, astrophotography, night sky photography, digital art, which is a big growing thing, which I really love, and it needs its own category. So those are the 5 categories. So we've got 3 divisions competing in 5 categories. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the top 3 of each division, of each category, and so that'll be 45 people that'll win first, second, or third in one way or another. And then we're going to have a best in show for each division. So it'll be an advanced best in show, a novice best in show, and a youth best in show. So that's a total of 48 pictures. Now, another situation with these contests is expensive. You pay your entry fee and then you get accepted. Then you got to go out and get a picture frame and go to all that expense. And after you do a bunch of them, you've got a bunch of pictures sitting around with, what are you going to do with them? Well, we're changing that. We're going to do all the framing and printing through the foundation on a professional level. And I brought some of my stuff here so you can see the quality of what we'll be doing for you. And then at the end of the show, each person will get that picture. That's going to be part of your prize. You get a $450 to $700 frame printed picture that's yours. But another thing we're doing that's totally different. This show is going to be on exhibit for a traveling exhibition tour, which will go around the Southeast over the next 12 months until the next event in 2024. We're going to have this as an annual thing starting in 2023. So those 48 pictures go on the road for a year. We got 12 different galleries lined up. The Bowen's going to be one of them. We got galleries in Spartanburg, Chattanooga, Hilton Head Island, St. Augustine. We got a gallery, I can't think of the name of the town, but it's between Pensacola and Panama City. We got a gallery in Atlanta, gallery in Watkinsville, near Athens. And so, and these are very high-end galleries. So this is going to be a really unique opportunity for exposure for the artist and having your pictures out there. We're also going to have a exhibition book we're going to put together. It's going to be a coffee table type book. And this will have all your pictures and artist bios in it. It's going to be a very high-end quality thing. So we're doing a lot of different things that make this unique and takes away the aspect of, you know, competition and expense. Also, if a picture sells, the artist gets 20% of the sale price. The foundation has a picture reprinted and reframed. The customer takes it off the wall and goes home with it from the point of sale. So not only are you getting into this competition, you're getting a professionally framed and printed picture. And if it sells, however many times it sells, you're getting 20% of the sale price, which is going to be in the neighborhood of about $225 per sale. So we got a lot of things going on. I know we're getting short on time. Oh yeah, and you guys you keep all your copyrights. We're not doing anything there. But what I'd like to do is I can post a link to a PDF version of the prospectus. It's got everything explained in there, and I can let Mike post it on the website so everybody can click on it and see what all this is about. It's a lot here, but it's very well thought out. This has been a labor of love that's been going on, has consumed me 24/7 now for almost a year. And I've used my experience. I do solo exhibitions. I've won a lot of awards and jury competitions, and we know what we're doing, and we want to share this with you guys and help y'all out and bring beneficial results, not only to the swamp, but to the people that participate, the artists, the photographers, and the galleries that host the events. And so, y'all have any questions?
One thing I want to add that I did not say earlier is that when I was talking about conservation photography, Mike's work back here is conservation photography. It's fine art also. And so I think the idea is that is how it's used. So we're looking for fine art photography for good, you know, photography, not necessarily a snapshot of, you know, I saw here in the fishing line around this bill, you know, and then take a picture of that. It is beautiful work. It's fine art photography. It's photography that people will want to hang. But then the idea is that you can enter it in the competition, and if it comes out in the top images, the travel can be exhibited. If it doesn't, still a large number of them will be available online.
Yeah, there's going to be 120 pictures that will make the digital exhibition, which will be featured at each gallery that goes to, as well as online. We'll have a large screen TV, and it'll be on a loop thing where each picture will be shown. So there'll be a lot of exposure for a lot of people. Also, the eligibility you don't have to run down to the swamp and take a bunch of pictures. It's any swamp related ecosystem, wildlife, plant life, anything that you've got, night sky stuff. It just has to be you know, a swamp related type water picture, not necessarily from the Okefenokee. So anything you got. We also got information about the Okefenokee. Yeah, we've got everybody down there on board with this project. We've got a lot of good information for you, and the Okefenokee is a great place. You can go down to 2 locations, rent kayaks, canoes. You can go out for a guided boat tour on a pontoon boat. Both the national park and the refuge have extensive miles of wooden catwalks through the swamp where you can walk leisurely and see it really nice. So, and we're going to have a gala award ceremony at the last weekend of next March down in Waycross, Georgia. So there's a lot going on. We got a lot going on. It's just too much to talk about in a short amount of time.
When do you start taking entry?
What's that? Okay, the call for entries are going to start on November 17th and run through January 17th. So it'll be a 2-month call for entries. And then we're going to have a short window to get the images selected. And then everything will be done digitally through Cafe. I don't know if any of y'all are familiar with Cafe, but all the links to Cafe will be in the prospectus. All you do is click on their name, and it'll take you right to their website. You sign up. It's a very nice way to enter contest. And then for the finalist group, you will need to send us a large TIFF file suitable for printing and suitable to go into the digital show. And that'll have to be due by, I think, January 27th. And then we got a 6-week window to get everything printed and framed and ready for the award ceremony at the end of March. And
size requirements, as far as dimensions, aspect.
no, anything you want, everything's gonna be custom. So the only thing with the file size for Cafe, you'll have to use their requirements. And I think you can set up to a 5 megabyte picture JPEG, so it's pretty large. What you send for the finalist group, we're looking for very large 40 to 90 megabyte TIFF files. So we can get the best quality. We're selling this to these galleries. These are some high-end galleries we got, and we're selling them as this as being a top flight show. And we've already got some confirmed. We've got several more that we're in negotiations with that are very interested. And the gallery list will also be in here right now. And so y'all can see that. What else did I need to know, Ryan?
The first thing I think kind of to repeat what Mike said is that you don't have to have anything printed or framed, which is awesome. I mean, you know, it's like you go through all the entries and you have to have it like size, and to me that's stressful. And then the next thing I'm turning around having to figure out what size do I print to send it in the frame and told me I have to use. And then I have to have it matted, and then, you know, I have to have these black frames with the white back that I don't really want in my house. So the nice thing is, once the image is accepted into the exhibit, you send off the large format file and you're done. And
Yeah.
you walk in, and well, until you walk in and see it later. So that's an addition.
Yeah, we will have an opening reception at each gallery each month also, and as many of the photographers that can make those, we appreciate it. It's not a requirement, however, though. And this is going to be a national eligibility entry, so we're hoping to get a lot of photographers from around the country involved with this. So
we'll post all the information on the website. Mike gives it to us, and we'll put reminders when it starts.
Right, and we'll.
If you're like me, you're not going to remember November what we just discussed today. But
Right.
we want to keep it up. So
And-
we'll be aware of them. Yeah.
And we're in the process of finalizing the foundation website. It should be up and running by sometime next week. There's literature about me up here. You can grab it, my cards. Any questions, you can give me a call and send me your email, and I'll send you stuff directly to you.
Facebook account, which we're getting started. So watch for those. I will probably put something on my Instagram. I use that photography on Instagram. And I will let Mike know as well what place he knows if I can run it is watching follow that. The Instagram.
Okay, we have some questions from the folks at home. Contents information that's going to be posted on Facebook. Yes, we'll be sending out the information for the show through North Georgia Photography Club. And then the other stuff was other questions about our technical issues, so it's normal. But anyways, so yeah, if we have any IT professionals who want to help out, we'll we'll take it. Exactly. So anyways, we appreciate it, guys. Appreciate it, Mike and Jenny. And anybody at home have questions, or anybody here in the building? If not, we're going to attempt to go to our monthly challenge. Lisa is not with us here. She's going to hopefully be able to share her screen so we can do the monthly challenge. Got the ballots here. So Lisa, let's see.
Hey, can you hear me?
We can hear you. See if you
Okay.
can share your screen.
All right, let me give that a shot.
I think it's working.
All right.
All right.
Okay, this month our theme for our monthly challenge was food. So unlike me, hopefully most of you had dinner before this slideshow, because if you didn't, it's going to make you really, really hungry. If you're new to our monthly photo challenge, our rules are 1 image per person. Your image must be less than 2 years old. And for this challenge, we limit to single image files only, so no composites or multiple exposures for this challenge. You must be a paid member to participate and be at the meeting either in person or online. However, you're allowed to miss 1 meeting a year and still submit your photo. And we award points for 1st through 5th place. So at the end of the year, the member with the most points wins Photographer of the Year, which includes membership for the following year, $100 and a special trophy. So I'm going to go through the photos that we have tonight for our theme of food. Please keep that theme in mind when we go through them. I noticed I didn't change my theme at the top of this slide from last month, but the theme this month is food. Does everybody in the room in person have a ballot to vote?
Yes, we pass them out.
I can't hear you, but I take that as hopefully. So the people in the room will vote by paper ballot, and then everybody online can vote by email, and you'll send your vote to vote@ngaphoto.club, and we'll share that email address with you again after I run through the photos. So this is our first photo tonight, number 1. And remember to vote for your top 3, your favorite 3 photos. Don't vote for more than 1 photo more than once. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Five. 6. 7. 8. We have 8 photos this month, so I'm going to go backwards through them, and then we'll run through them one more time so you have plenty of opportunity to see them all. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. And 1. And one more time. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. And 8. Bear with me. Oh, there we go. Once again, if you're voting online tonight, please send your votes for your top 3 favorites to vote@ngaphoto.club. Club. And Mike, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
All right. So after the meeting, I'll tally the votes that were done here at the meeting. Lisa will tally the votes that were done online. I will email her the vote totals here, and she will post the winners sometime tomorrow. And let's see if I can get back to the slideshow. We got 2 slides left. I didn't like that. Oh, this is why. Okay. We'll get this one day. What? Oh, the share screen button, but it doesn't want to. Oh, there we go. We're just going to leave the PowerPoint one on. So our next meeting is on September 16th. It's going to be here at the Bowen and of course online. Our presentation is going to be by Dick Snoke. We're going to talk about how to make composites. And our photo challenge theme next month is fog. So thanks everybody for coming out and for joining us online. We appreciate it and we look forward to seeing you next month, and have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Night.